All right, welcome to the DM and Friends. I am DM Angelo, and I have
Chris Clark. I'm the friends, I guess, today. So yeah,
excellent.
he actually got more than one, but
Oh yeah, that's friends plural. Yeah, so
friends
you're the
plural.
friend
That's right.
today.
Yeah.
DM and friend. So we're here to talk
Castle Wolfmoon.
Castle Wolfmoon.
You got to say it
Castle
deeper,
Wolfmoon,
though.
which is
Castle
recent,
Wolfmoon. Okay, yeah.
which is recently in the news, and yeah, we're gonna talk about it and go through some stuff. And I mean, first off, just tell me how
Well,
Castle Wolfmoon.
people who don't know, okay, in the late '90s, I had the privilege of being business partners with Mr. Gary Gygax himself. He needed somebody to help him launch the legendary adventure and had talked to a number of investors who didn't think it would do so well. So we're not going to back this, Gary. So he came to me and he said, "Look, Chris, I know you don't have a ton of money. I also know that you know how to put books out without spending a ton of money. Can you help me to get my series out?" And so I said, "Sure." And we wound up being business partners and we launched Legendary Adventure. Now, don't get me wrong, he did all of the writing and whatnot. I did some editing. I wrote some adventures for the system. I hired a guy to do layout and whatnot. But we did actually manage in 6 years to get, and this will stun you, rigid, 17 different books out in six
Wow,
years.
there were 17 books in Legend.
Well,
Really?
some of those are different versions of the same book. So there's three versions of the core books, but we
Okay.
put out four or five different adventures. We put out a GM screen. Yeah, just a ton of stuff. Uh, at which point I couldn't keep up with how fast he was writing things. So at that point, I sat down with the Troll Lords at one of the big Gamma shows and said, "Geez, could you guys take this over?" They did. I wrote a couple more things for the Troll Lords, and Legendary Adventures began to be published by Troll Lords, which is why you see the early versions by Hecka Forge Productions, which was Hecka, which was Gary, and Forge, which was me, and then later by Troll Lord Games. All right. Anyway, be that as it may, this all started because Gary had worked with me on a couple of adventure modules called Ritual of the Golden Eyes and Challenge of Arms, although actually order wise reverse those two and you get it right. So Challenge of Arms came first, then Ritual. And we had started work on a third one when he came to me with his proposal to start a company. About 3, 4 years into the company, it was doing pretty well. We had the core books out. We had the GM screen out, and I forget at least one module, if not maybe more like three. Because I want to say I think um, yeah, there was a trilogy done by John Cruffield, which were all very good, by the way, John. Good work. Which was Fairy Ring, Mouth of the Marsh, and I can't remember it. The Epic Journey of or something. But and then I had written one called I can't even remember that one, but yeah. So there was maybe four, and he came to me and he said, "Are we ever going to finish that third adventure in your series, Castle Wolfmoon?" And I said, "Sure." So I had pretty much finished writing it up. I sent what I had to Gary. It was about I don't know, 82 pages or something like that. I do know that when it came back, it was about twice the size. And the son of a gun did it in 10 days. I mean, I've been working on this adventure since I was 17 years old. And he doubled it in size in 10 days. Yeah, because that was working with Gary. Okay. And I looked at that and I was like, okay, this is going to be like 170-page module. And that's before I put art and maps and stuff in it. Nobody's going to buy this because nobody bought modules that were that kind of, that were warden sized books, if I can use that analogy.
Yeah.
So it went on my hard drive. All right. And it stayed there. And so everybody, well, why did it come up now? So I have a friend over visiting from the East Coast, and he says, and I'm sorry, I'm cleaning out. I have a backup solid state 2 terabyte hard drive so that I never lose a book again while I'm changing over computers or when my computer dies because some idiot like me smokes around it. So we're going through the 2 terabyte hard drive because if you don't weed the hard drive every once in a while and it's that large, a standard computer looks at the directory, waves a little white flag, and says, "No, we're not going to open this." So
Mm-hmm.
you have to get the directory down under a certain number of titles, or it really
Sure.
screws it up. Anyway, and I know you know that stuff. So he's looking over my shoulder. He says, "What's this CW dash 2003 dash GG?" I said, "Oh, that's Gary's final Castle Wolfmoon stuff that he sent back." What do you mean Gary's? Gary Gygax, when I was working with Gary. Wait a minute. You've got unpublished Gary Gygax material on your hard drive.
Mm.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, I
And
wrote
when was
something
this?
too.
What year was this when you were?
Oh gosh. Well, the year that this happened was 2023.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So and so I started, I mean, I wrote some of it too, and I started making excuses for why it hasn't gone anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And,
So
and
hence the ramp up in 2024. Yeah.
well, he finally looks at me and says, "You know what? Shut up and sit there. I'm going to make a few phone calls. Don't go anywhere until I get back here. Do
Yeah.
not touch that file until I get back here." Okay.
Yeah.
So he comes back, and all of a sudden I discover that whether I like it or not, there's going to be a Kickstarter, because there's a whole group of investors that he knows that want to back this Kickstarter. Okay. So we go through all of those machinations, and sure, lo and behold, by 2024, there's a Kickstarter. And in fact, it was supposed to be, gosh,
Yeah, it was early June was when you guys were going to release
yeah.
the Kickstarter, I think.
Well,
it was around the time of North Texas.
Well, here's the thing. The nice folks that run GameCon Canada, which is just an absolutely huge convention. Well, and I left one part of the story out. He's like, "You're aware that it's like the birthday of D&D like next year, right? You moron." And I was like,
"Oh yeah,
that hadn't occurred
right.
to me." Well, because GameCon Canada is looking for something they can showcase and would like to work with you on this. Do you think you can organize like a launch party for opening ceremonies night at GameCon Canada? I said, sure, why not? All right. So they gave us a room, great big room to hold the launch party in. We ordered some kegs of beer, we ordered some snacks, we put out some flyers, told everybody, hey, it's going to be here. We invited a whole bunch of celebrities to come in that actually didn't later, but
This was in Calgary, I think, right?
I'm sorry, what?
This was in Calgary or Edmonton?
Calgary. I'm sorry. It moved to Edmonton the following year. It was in Calgary originally.
Got it. Okay.
And it was in Calgary this year, the year that we're talking about. So,
yeah.
But and yeah, so we had invited like Matt Lillard and a whole bunch of Deborah Ann Wall, and they didn't say they were coming, so fair is fair, but they seemed interested in it, and
sure.
Yeah, we'll come to your party and drink some of your beer. Why not?
Yeah.
And then it was during the day is when in fact 2 or 3 hours before the launch party was supposed to occur is when Luke put his post up. So that kind of everybody immediately, and it was funny. I felt bad because all of the people in booths around me, I'm all of a sudden getting all these visits from celebrities. And they're like, who is this guy that all these celebrities have to come and check in with him? And what they were doing was telling me that they had been advised not to attend the party by their agents because they said there's something on the internet that is questioning the Kickstarter.
And I don't think you had seen it at that time either.
I had not seen it. So I had Marcy go look, and she found it. And
and then I think shortly after that, that's when the pummeling and grappling started happening back and forth.
I was a little upset at the time. I would.
Yeah. I actually have a screenshot of that post. I'm going to bring it up.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
There she blows.
Yeah, this was I think shortly after North Texas. You were on your way to.
No, we had arrived. You
were driving when this went out. Yeah, and Luke did post. Lots of people are asking me about the pending Kickstarter called Castle Wolfmoon. That's claiming to be something my father wrote as the primary author. Chris Clark, listed as a second author, did work with my dad in many projects in the late 90s and early 2000s, as I recall. I don't recall my father ever talking to me about a Castle Wolfmoon campaign at all, and we talked regularly about gaming and his projects. His focus was Castle Zygag, which is back in development now. I was asked to contribute to this work and was considering it, as Chris has been my friend for many years. However, placing my dad's name, cover as the lead author seems to a bit disingenuous, in my opinion. I'm not associated with, and Gary Gygax estate is not associated with it, in the best of my knowledge. Why am I posting this? I don't want people to back it thinking that they are getting a finished work from my father when it is likely something more of a concept outline from 20 plus years ago. I am not omniscient on all things.
But yeah.
Yes, on all things my father did or didn't do. However, it is worth questioning, in my opinion. And then he goes on to talk about that great picture down on the bottom there. Yeah, I do kind of remember this, and there was a lot of back and forth and name calling at some point, and this and that and blah blah blah, and you know, it was a heated time, and I understand it, you know, and
you know, in retrospect, I can understand. I mean, he's not going to be checking my Facebook page to know that I'm in Canada when he's trying to call me on the phone, so I get that. And he probably also figured that my telephone number wasn't a landline, which it is. I don't actually own a cell phone. So normal people do. I can see that being just, you know, in the heat of things.
Get with it, Chris. You need a cell phone.
Crawl into the 21st century. I know. I don't know. I was very bothered at the time. Because we had an enormous pre-following for the Kickstarter. In fact, I believe there's still 300 or 400 people waiting for this thing to come out. And by the way, we're meeting later this week, myself and the backers that said, "Hey, you're running a Kickstarter," are meeting later this week telephonically to set a date. So we'll see.
To set a date, which is not out yet. You're to plan the set of the date, right?
Yes, to plan the setting of a date. So we are back in business on that, but. Yeah, I was, I don't know. I was mad enough to become about 12 years old on the day this was posted, which I'm not proud of. Yeah.
But now let's fast forward to yesterday. I mean, I don't know if you want to talk any more about this, but I'm going to throw what
I did read it.
Yeah. Have you read this?
I have.
Yeah. So it says in June of 2024, I posted comments regarding my father's involvement in the Castle Wolfmoon project. By the way, this was posted yesterday by Luke Gygax. And so I want to address those comments. In March 2024, Chris asked me to contribute to the Castle Wolfmoon's last installment, in which I agreed. When I made my post a few months later, I was not aware of any agreement between Chris and my father. People were asking me questions, regarding the project, whether it was my father's last unpublished work or my father's role. Unfortunately, I was unable to speak to Chris before I made my post. I now know, that there was an agreement between Chris and my father over 20 years ago regarding this work. Also, I am now confident that my father contributed significantly to Castle Wolfmoon. I have no issues with my father being listed with Chris as a co-author of the game. I am also comfortable with the statement that Castle Wolfmoon is the last unpublished work of my father and Chris Clark. In fact, it is my intent to contribute to the title myself, as I agreed in March 2024, and I do regret my misunderstanding that my post created. I hope this post clears it up. I wish Chris, that's you, and his team success with Castle Wolfmoon, and look forward to being able to contribute. And I plan to add a copy of it to my personal library. So there it is.
I'm really glad that he finally saw his way to clear it up. I mean, I sent him a thank you, actually, because I didn't like the fact that people thought I had been maybe coloring the truth a bit, which I don't do. I'm not that guy. I don't know. I'm kind of looking forward to working with Luke again. We were friends for a very long time. We wrote a number of things together.
You did
for Gary Con. And it'll be good to work with him again. And we'll see how it goes. I'm glad the hatchet's been at least preliminarily buried, and that we're back on solid footing again between the two of us. But
Yeah, that's great news.
I don't know.
Great news.
It still bothers me a little. I'll get over it, or else I really need to see somebody for help, because an adult would just get over it, and so I shall try to be an adult.
Chris, be an adult.
It was a little weird to me. I mean, there are all kinds of conversations between Gary and I that were posted publicly, that were archived by people, because they're like, dude, these are Gary Gygax posts. We got to save these, right? But would you look something like that up before making a post? I don't know. I don't know. It's wrong of me to try and presume what was in the mind of Luke. I think maybe part of me did that, and so on that level, there's my apology on that as well. So
yeah, that's great, man. That's great. But I mean, bottom line, we just want a game. We just want to play. We want to put out good products. This is a community. This is a gaming community. We're not all, and none of us are getting younger.
I know. Yeah.
And it's that time where
I would like to die with my project. I would like to die with my projects finished. You bet. And there are quite a few on that list right now. So yeah.
Is it really? You better get to work. You're talking about any hot rods, or are you talking about
those two? Yeah. Well, the hot
don't
rod.
Forget the hot rods.
It's gonna wait. It's gonna have to wait at least until after the Castle Wolfmoon project. But in addition, it's probably gonna have to wait for warmer weather, because it's starting to get cold. And my daughter wants me to teach her how to rebuild racing engines. So
yeah,
my son, no, my daughter. My daughter wants to learn.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yeah. Go figure, I guess. Although,
so tell me. I mean, we obviously can talk a little bit more when it gets closer to launching, and when things get fleshed out. But tell me a little bit about Castle Wolfmoon. I mean, a lot of people don't know. I mean, I've obviously played in a lot of
here's something.
Well, tested, and so tell me a little bit about it.
Here's something else some people don't know. I have a contribution from Ernie Gygax.
Yeah, he was all in on it too, I think, right?
Yeah, I've got quite extensive contribution from Ernie on it as well. Yeah. So not over sharpen the pencil, so to speak, but I may wind up being the guy. Might wind up being the guy who has Ernie Gygax's last unpublished fantasy work as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
Eric and Heidi have already made just a fantastic contribution. I still giggle when I think about it. I'm not going to put a spoiler out there. It is both very functional for the adventure and incredibly hilarious. And I'm a guy who appreciates a good joke. So yeah,
we like jokes.
It looks like Alex, the youngest in the clan, if you will, is also going to probably contribute. So this will be the adventure that has 400% more Gygax. I mean, probably put that in a burst on the cover now with 400% more Gygax. Yeah.
I love it.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, and I do want to see this in print. It's going to be massive, dude. We're talking 7 books that will be part of this, because it's really not an adventure; it's a campaign.
Yeah.
And the castle itself, I didn't want to print that 172-page monstrosity, so we're going to break the castle into 3 different adventure sets along naturally occurring adventure break lines, if that's a thing.
Well, you had. I remember at North Texas, you had ran some cataracts. So how does that fall into? How does that fall into
the 7 books? The 7 books universe. And the 7 book, and I have, this is part of the meeting that goes on later this week, is to solidify all of this. So it's not 100% graven in stone yet, but the 7 books should be remade Challenge of Arms, remade Ritual of the Golden Eye. So by the way, if you got those originals, they're about to be worth some money. Wow. Cataract is the 3rd one. And then the first 2 castle levels and the roof, because believe it or not, even the roof of Castle Wolfmoon has some interesting points to it. That one's called Castle Wolfmoon Exordium. Then we have just level 3, which is only 1 room, and it's like, well, that's going to be a really boring adventure, Chris. But it's the room of the many portals that lead to alternative planes. Some lead to the future, some lead to the past. Right now, there are 11 portals in that room. There might be more by the time we're done.
Watch the spoilers.
Well, as far as we're going to go. And then the 4th and 5th level of the castle are Castle Wolfmoon, the Depths. And you're right. In Reader's Digest version, you're sent to try and track down the missing illegitimate daughter of the king. You track her to a town. You have to prove yourselves to the Thieves Guild there. Once you do, you help them open a door they've been unable to open, which leads to an abandoned dwarven city. The abandoned dwarven city, you find traces that she has been kidnapped and taken through the dwarven city. And you also find these wonderful things called Power Stone mines, which are raw mana rocks, basically. And the reason I bring that up, and then we're off to Cataract and Castle Wolfmoon. But the reason I bring it up is because level 4 and 5, the evil, nasty, bad guy who shall currently remain nameless, that is behind the whole Castle Wolfmoon saga, has discovered that the Power Stone vein actually runs all the way out into the ocean, and so many hundreds of feet below the castle has dug his own Power Stone mine, and frankly has the dwarves that are missing from the city are enslaved dwarves working the mine for him. And one of your quests, should you decide to accept it, is of course to try and free these dwarven thralls from their horrific lifestyle. As well as there's a forest of trees that grow metal and gems and all sorts of cool stuff down there. Anyway. And some stuff from Jim Ward, because Jim was a good friend too.
Nice. Well, thanks for bringing this all up and talking about it. I think this is monumental.
Where's the pity for the guy that's got to do the preliminary layouts on 7 books? So that they can go out to the other.
It's gonna be an adventure. What are we gonna do?
Actually, the 7th book isn't actually an adventure. There are enough new items, critters, and situations in the 6 adventure modules that they are all nicely alphabetized, segregated between monsters, items, and weird spell things, so that you don't have to remember, God, what was that mace you gave us in Challenge of Arms? You could just look it up quick. Boom, boom, boom. In the gas. There it is. Here's what it does. Yeah. Doesn't that resurrect once per day?
I kind of know the answer to this, but what system are you going to be writing this for?
I write this for what amounts to our own system. It's OSR, but it's basically 1st edition. I don't want to.
Yeah. It's 80. And then you're probably going to have an adaptation to 5e and all that stuff.
They are the guys out east with all the cash are talking about adaptations for both either Pathfinder or 3.5 and 5e.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's going to make a lot of people happy. So
on the bright side, I don't have to do the conversions.
Yeah. I know you don't like doing 5e conversions, so I know that.
My God. Yeah.
We'll talk about that another time. But look, Chris, congratulations, and I'm glad just for the community. I'm glad that this has happened. Yeah. I'm glad that we're moving forward. I'm glad that you're moving forward. I said we're, but you're moving forward. And I think this is great. This is really great.
It's nice that if I pass Luke at Gamehole again, I can say, "Hey, dude, how's it hanging?" And not have to worry that he'll be offended that I talked to him because we're fighting with each other, and because we're not anymore.
Well, give him a call.
I feel years younger,
Yeah. I will say one thing is resentments and stuff like that. That's the kind of shit that gives you cancer. That's the kind of
really okay.
That's the kind of shit that
I'm going
to get on the philosophical side of the things, and resentments and holding things and grudges are that's the kind of shit that gives us cancer. And life is, like I said earlier, life is too freaking short. You know what I mean? We can pick and choose our battles. We can also just realize the fact that we're not getting any younger. And you know what? I've been chasing that feeling when the first roll of dice that I ever did when I was 7 years old. And that's when I game, I want it. That's why I just say, let's just game. Let's just game. But anyways, yeah, you guys, thanks so much for joining us. And
I'll do it again.
Yeah. And
unless we're not friends anymore, in which case then I have to send you the apology. And
yeah. So anyways, you guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We got another episode coming up tomorrow. We're going to do a recording on spoiler alert. Actually, I don't want to tell you. It has to do with old school gaming and differences in old school gaming. So anyways, you guys all take care and God bless.